Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Well, greetings and felicitations. Welcome to the program, folks. It is Wednesday evening, and I welcome you to my show. I'm Scotty Roberts. This is my show, the Intrepid, not radio program, but podcast now, airing over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. For those of you who are listening in some of the other outlets where we are airing, the best chat room to join the conversation is going to be over on the YouTube channel. Again, youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And you can also see us on Facebook in a couple of places and over on, we can't do Twitter right now. X, I should say. I had a membership and then I let my membership lapse. So, meaning I just didn't pay it this month. It's like $9 or something like that. I can't remember what. So now I couldn't register it tonight. So it'll be up again by tomorrow over there. And it's also over on my Instagram channel. So you can come on over to Instagram and check it out. And it's now airing live over on Instagram. And I don't know what the quality is over there. You can comment live. It's kind of like a chat room. I've gone over and I said hi when a bunch of people have shown up over there. And but again, if you're over on any of those places, come to the YouTube channel for the very best in chat for this show. Also, go check out my TikTok page. That's tiktok.com/Scotty Roberts. No, Mr. Scotty Roberts. All spelled out. Mr. M-I-S-T-E-R Scotty Roberts, where I do daily, almost daily tarot readings over there. So I have never heard back, by the way, from the person who was trying to insult me by attacking my character in a debate about that was going on, a discussion really about politics. And I don't even remember exactly what it was about. Oh, yeah, it was. It's talking about the assassination attempt. I adhere to no conspiracy theories on that, but everybody was talking about the ballistics, and it was like the left was all offering these weird things like, well, the bullet obviously shattered the teleprompter, which a flying piece of glass cut his ear. And I said, you're attempting to cover up an assassination attempt by saying, well, it wasn't really real because the bullet hit the teleprompter, which shattered, and the shattered and hit his ear. And I go, so you're saying the bullet didn't graze him, it just shattered his teleprompter and cut his ear. I said, aren't they both assassination attempts? So it was kind of dumb. And let's see. What do you got here? Niall says, evening all, covered a lot of ground tonight with an American friend. From the withdrawal of Afghanistan to Ukraine to Gaza just tonight. Nice. So glad that you had that opportunity. It's always good to get up on that stuff and to see it from perhaps, even though those are all political things, I don't know what kind of conversation you had. If it was slanted in one particular direction or not, meaning more a conservative or a progressive or a liberal or whatever it might be, or an independent or a middle of the road. I don't know. But always a fun conversation to have and get on top of, especially when you're in Europe and you got to want to kind of get an understanding of what's going on. So this discussion, by the way, I had the other day with a couple of people, and they all tend to, if you disagree with them, they all kind of gang up on you, don't they? They're like, well, they don't even introduce themselves, go like, well, hey, you weren't talking to me specifically, but can I answer that question? No, they just butt in and say, well, you're obviously blankety blank, blue, blue, blah, blah, blah. And this one woman came in and tried to counter my point without really making a point about the topic we were talking about. And she said something about how aren't you the guy who does the fake psychic readings? Remember that? I told you all about that. The fake psychic readings, and you go knocking on everybody's door begging to be let in as a speaker or as a tarot or a psychic at their events. And I thought about it for a second at the time it happened, and I thought, I haven't sought to be brought into anybody's event for a long time, like 15 plus years. And I'm thinking maybe it was at the very beginning because I didn't recognize her name. And then I looked her up and I found out, oh, she's a promoter of events and a talent for events. So maybe somewhere along the way I talked to her or somebody put me onto her. And so my answer in the public forum was, well, you obviously don't know me very well because I'm not a psychic reader. I read cards, and I've been doing it for about 40 years. And I said, but that's beside the point. I said, I'm not here to offer a defense. But I did point out to her, I said, I see what you're doing here. You're not answering any of the pertinent responses to the questions I posed. You've skipped leapfrog right over those and went to attacking my character, saying I'm knocking on doors with fake psychic readings. And I said, if that's what you need to do, I said, you've just displayed one of the rules of radicals written by Saul Alinsky. This is Alinskyism at its best. And I said, you've tried to derail me from the conversation by accusing me of something that you think I'm going to spend time trying to defend myself from. I said, I'm not. This is it. And I wrote, 2 paragraphs on it. That was it. So, but all I was going to say, I was going to report back in. Haven't heard another word from her. That was 2 days ago. So now, what do we got right now? Right now, there's a couple of things that went on today. One, I listened to, as the title of tonight's show, the topic would suggest, Benjamin Netanyahu's speech. And I thought it was very good. And so I'm going to play this because I've got to step up there because of something I'm hearing that's going on. And it's all during the show. It's a familial interruption. But let me play this, and I ought to be back before this is done playing. So all of you listen to this and see what you think of this.
This land is mine. God gave this land to me. This brave and ancient land to me. And when the morning sun reveals her hills and plains, then I see a land where children can run free. So take my hand and walk this land with me. And walk this lovely land with me. Though I'm just a man, when you are by my side, with the hand of God, I know I can be strong. just a man when you are by my side. With the help of God, I know I can be strong to make this land our home. If I must fight, I'll fight to make this land our own. Until I die, this land is
Oh, hey, that ran out quick, didn't it? Sorry about that, folks. Woo! I'm back. Little crisis averted. My son has a couple of friends over. And not that you are interested in all this kind of stuff, but you all see the familial stuff that goes on here. And you know how boys treat little girls. And all trying to be cool. And so Ellie was having some problems with them. So I could hear it right through the floor. I don't know if you could hear it too. So I had to go settle some things down up there. Sorry about that. Yeah, the animation was pretty good on that. Niall, I liked that piece. And I thought it was suitable for tonight's show because I want to cover and actually read a lot of excerpts from Benjamin Netanyahu's speech today at the joint session of Congress in the United States, for those of you who are not in the United States. I thought it was very poignant. I found that his speech today was something that if you are an American, it was very honorable and it made you proud. If you are pro-Israel, it's something that brought a tear to your eye at points because it was very moving. If you are pro-Palestinian / Hamas supporting, it's something you should watch. And you're going to grab your supper and be listening, says Susie Q. Thank you. So I think all of us should hear bits and pieces of this. I would recommend the best thing you could do, even after I give it my little treatment tonight on this show, the best possible thing you could do is go watch it. It's worth watching in its live, as it was recorded live. And if you could skip through all the introductory stuff and, the gathering of the houses and things like that, you can get through it. It was a little over a half an hour or something like that. Yes, Randall Flagg, exactly. Netanyahu just showed America what a leader looks like. And that was, I think, one of the most impressive things about what he had to say today. And also, I want to take to task anybody out there. Okay, now you might say, it's just my opinion, and maybe it just is. But anybody out there that is in this country, either a citizen of this country or visiting this country on a student visa or a work visa, and you are out protesting this country, supporting anti-Semitic rallies, or not rallies, protests, I think that you are probably idiots, is the best way I can put it. And Netanyahu used that term today too, only his was better than mine. Morgan, I'm going to cover it here, but we're also going to, I also highly recommend watching it. Yeah, any of you stupid, imbecilic, not meaning this as a racial slur, but as a piece of cloth slur, you rag-headed fucktards, as my wife might say, who support Hamas and say, I'm just supporting Palestine. No, you're not. Many of the people who protest when they're chanting from the river to the sea, as Netanyahu said today, they don't even know which river they're talking about and which sea they're talking about. They have no clue. So I can, for entertainment purposes of this show, of course, I use my little bits and pieces of foul language and my little bits and pieces of entertainment value stock that I've got over here to pull on. But I think this is an important topic that we all learn something about. And it was so good to hear it straight from the mouth of the leader of Israel, as opposed to seeing everybody's reports on it. Yeah, the president of the Senate wasn't there. It's interesting. The woman who is already assuming she is the Democrat candidate, which it hasn't been voted on yet, folks. The delegates haven't been passed over. So she probably will end up there, but she's claiming it already. And she claimed, she even used the word, she got the votes in the primary, meaning the primary votes, the delegate votes, to run now and be the candidate, the presumed candidate. Well, she didn't get a single damn vote. She's acquiring Joe Biden's delegates. How can you do that? Is that the electoral process? The Democratic Party and Joe Biden made such a big deal about saving democracy, yet they've done so many things that are anti-democracy that it makes your head spin. Anyway, she was not there tonight. In protest, the presumed Democratic candidate for president of the United States in 3 months protested Netanyahu by not showing up. That's curious, isn't it? Yeah, promised supposedly to her, yes, the Susie Q. So what did Netanyahu say? I've got his whole speech here in text, and I won't read every little bit of it, but I'm going to read a lot of it because I want you to hear how he addresses this issue. And did I say issue? This issue. And he starts by, speaking to the Speaker of the House, introducing himself as Senator Bill. He addresses them. And he says, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time. He says, we meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. Get this. He said, this is not a clash of civilizations, referring to the war in Israel. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization. It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life. He goes on and says, for the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together. Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose. And of course, all of this is being punctuated by standing ovations. And there weren't very many people in that chamber that would not clap for him. There were some notable people. I think, that sat through. But you had some of your pretty far left people that were up there giving him an ovation. He says, "My friends, I came across to assure you today of one thing: we will win." He said, "Ladies and gentlemen," now here's the case he's starting to put forward. Like December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor Day, for those of you who don't know. September 11th, 2001, the World Trade Center. October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. And it began, I don't think I'm pronouncing that as an Israeli would, but Simchat Torah. It began as a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis were celebrating at an outdoor music festival, and suddenly, at 6:29 a.m., as children were still sleeping soundly in their beds in the towns and the kibbutzim next to Gaza, suddenly heaven turned into hell. 3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 41 different countries, including 39 Americans. Proportionately compared to our population size, that's like 20 different 9/11s all happening in one day. And these monsters, they raped women, they beheaded men, they burnt babies alive, they killed parents in front of their children and children in front of their parents. They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. And Morgan Snow, that's the cynical question, isn't it? How much money does he want? I think that's the legislation that's already been done, but Biden held it up. He held up resupplying them. And he was coming to make his case. He didn't ask for money in this speech. If we're going to jump just to how much money does he want, then we're negating everything he has to say, in my opinion. No offense to you, Morgan. I just think if that's where we're going to jump with our cynicism, then what's the use of listening to anything he has to say coming out of his mouth? Because we've already got our minds made up. It's all just about the money. Well, they need the money, but he lays a case for why he needs the money. So, yeah, you're right, Claudette. They are terrorists. They'll never stop. Yeah, I want America first too, Susie Q. But there's a reason we support our allies. There's a reason we have allies, that we help them out when they need our help. It all depends on what is at stake, and of course, what our interests are there, and of course, what we've said that we would do. If England was attacked by Hitler again, would the United States go, oh, hey, America first? Or they say, you're one of our strongest allies. We will be there to help you out of this mess. So there are times where it's necessary to putting America first. Is sometimes it takes putting our allies first, or let me rephrase that. Making our allies a priority helps put America first too. And then Yahoo kind of laid out a case for that as well. So Israel, he says, has brought home 135 of these hostages already, including 7 who were freed in a daring rescue operation. One of those freed hostages, Noah Arjamani, is here in the gallery sitting, and he has her stand up. He says, on the morning of October 7th, the entire world saw Noah's look of desperation as she was violently abducted to Gaza on the back of a motorcycle. I met Noah's mother, Leora, a few months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said to me, Prime Minister, I have one final wish. I wish to hug my daughter Noah one last time before I die. 2 months ago, I offered a breathtaking commando rescue operation. Our special forces, including a heroic officer named Armand Zimora, who fell in the battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages. I think it's one of the most moving things when Noah was reunited with her mother, he said. Leora, and her mother's last wish came true. And then he speaks to her for a little bit. And he says, many hostage families are also here in the gallery with us today, including Eliyahu Bibas. And Eliyahu Bibas is the grandfather of those two beautiful redheaded boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers, and they were taken hostage with their mother and Eliyahu's son. The entire family was taken hostage. Two beautiful redheaded children taken hostage. What monsters! And with us also is Iris Hayim, whose son Yotam bravely escaped Hamas captivity with two other Israelis, and tragically they were killed making their way back to our lines. We have with us also the families of American hostages. They're here too. The pain these families have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday, and I promised them this: I will not rest until all their loved ones are home, all of them. And by the way, you have to look at his face, hear the expression in his voice, hear the tone of his voice, and you immediately will empathize with him. And you go, this guy is not here. Yes, he's here asking for money, but it's money that was promised. He's asking, please release to us the things that we need. That's already been voted in. And he says, because we need your help on this. And he gets into that a little bit further here. But this was a man speaking genuinely from his heart. He says, the pain these families have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday, and I promised them this: I will not rest until all their loved ones are home, all of them. And remember, between all of these phrases, these lines, he's getting standing ovations. He said, as we speak, we're actively engaged in intensive efforts to secure their release. And I'm confident that these efforts can succeed. Some of them are taking place right now. Then he said, I want to thank President Biden for his tireless efforts on behalf of the hostages and for his efforts to the hostage families as well. I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th. He rightly called Hamas sheer evil. And everybody clapped, and Republicans clapped for that too, because they all agreed with him, with Biden, when he did that. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war, and he came to Israel to stand with us in our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten. President Biden and I have known each other for over 40 years. I want to thank him for half a century of friendship to Israel and for being, as he says, a proud Zionist. Actually, he says he is a proud Irish-American Zionist. People kind of laughed. And he said, my friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless courage. And then he introduces 3 different soldiers that he brought with him. He says, with us today is Lieutenant, and some of these names, he was speaking with Netanyahu has almost a perfect English accent. He was a graduate of MIT here in America a long time ago. But he pronounces the names with the proper accent, of course. And he says, Avichail Reuven. He said, Avichail is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia. In the early hours of October 7th, Avichail heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car. So he ran 8 miles to the front lines of Gaza to defend his people. You heard that right. He ran 8 miles, came to the front lines, killed many terrorists, and saved many, many lives. Avichail, we honor your remarkable heroism. And he was there. Very humble man. Another Israeli is with us here today. He's standing right next to Avichail. This is Master Sergeant Ashraf al-Bahiri. Ashraf is a Bedouin soldier from the Israel Muslim community of Rahat. On October 7th, Ashraf II killed many terrorists. First, he defended his comrades in the military base, and then he rushed to defend the neighboring communities, including the devastated community of Kibbutz Bereri. And like Ashraf, the Muslim soldiers of the IDF fought alongside their Jewish Druze, Christian, and other comrades in arms with tremendous bravery. The point he's making here is that not all Israelis are Jewish. And he refers to that a little further here. He says a third hero, Lieutenant Asa Sofer, is also here with us. Asa fought as an officer in the Tank Corps, and he was wounded in battle. He was wounded in battle while protecting his fellow soldiers from a grenade. He lost his right arm and the vision in his left eye. He's still recovering, and incredibly, within a short time, Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company. And everybody stood up and gave Asa a standing ovation. He says, I just learned there's a fourth hero here. Lieutenant Jonathan, he says, Ben Hamo. He lost a leg in Gaza and continued to fight. And Jonathan, he holds up, he's got one of those canes, where the steel piece goes around your arm. He was dressed in a suit and tie, and he raises his cane in the air and smiles and points it in the air, and everybody gives him a standing ovation too. And he says, my friends, these are the soldiers of Israel, unbowed, undaunted, unafraid. As the Bible says, and he says something in Hebrew, he says, they shall rise like lions. They've risen like lions, the lions of Judah, the lions of Israel. He's speaking of these various soldiers from all different walks of life that are like America, all different walks of life and heritage, but are here. You're an American, no matter what you are. There, if you are an Israeli, you are an Israeli. And these men all fought for Israel. He says the men and women of the IDF come from every corner of Israeli society, every ethnicity, every color, every creed, left, right, religious, secular, all are imbued with the indomitable spirit of the Maccabees. He refers to the Maccabean revolt, which took place 2,000 plus years ago. He says the legendary Jewish warriors of antiquity. With us today is Yoshiel Later, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yehiel's father escaped the Holocaust, found refuge in America as a young man. Yehiel moved to Israel and raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son Moshe after his late father. Moshe became exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own. On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later, he was killed when a booby-trap mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yehiel said, if the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel, Yehiel continued, because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies. Now you can see the case that he's building here. Yehiel, please rise, he says to him in the audience, so we can honor your son's sacrifice. And I pledge to you and to all the bereaved families of Israel, some of whom are in this hall today, the sacrifice of your loved ones will not be in vain. It reminds me of Abraham Lincoln, the Gettysburg Address. He says, we hallow these fields. He says, And we go on with this. I'm because I'm deep into this, I'm not thinking of the wording of the Gettysburg Address, but he says, but we do here resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, said Abraham Lincoln. It will not be in vain, because for Israel, never again must never be an empty promise. It must always remain a sacred vow. And after October 7th, never again is now. He says, my friends, defeating our brutal enemies requires both courage and clarity. Clarity begins by knowing the difference between good and evil. Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with the evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim, into a home. The parents hid the children, the 2 babies in the attic, in a secret attic. They murdered the family, the parents. They found the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murdered the babies. These protesters, stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves, he said. And I agree with him. If you don't agree with him, you're the problem, in my opinion. So he goes on. They refuse to make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians, between the democratic state of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas. We recently learned from the U.S. Director of National Intelligence that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. Did you know that? That's my words, my question. Did you know that? Iran is behind the protests, funding them. Not George Soros, it's Iran. They want to disrupt America. So these protesters burn American flags, even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers of the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters. Do you remember when that was in the news? The frat boys came out when they saw them trying to take down the American flag and burn it on the campus. And they gathered around, 20, 30 of these guys gathered around the flag and held it up off the ground. It's like, yeah, you come and get it, asshole, was their attitude. And they defended the flag. They didn't defend a piece of cloth, by the way. They defended the concept of America. It's like, you don't come into my country and shout death to my country and burn my flag on my country's soil and walk out of here free. That's what those frat boys were saying. For all we know, says Netanyahu, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. They were protesting at the Capitol building all day today because Netanyahu was there. Not that many, but they're there. And throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots. Damn fucking straight. I'd love to hear our politicians talking that way. Some of them do. You say that again. He says, when the tyrants of Tehran, who he's talking to, he says, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes, murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, the protesters, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC. That's what Netanyahu said today. These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about. And if you didn't know, folks, they're talking about the Jordan River on the east and the Mediterranean Sea on the west. That's the east and the west borders of Israel, from the river to the sea. But many don't have a clue. They'll call Israel, he says they not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state. How many times have you heard that coming from these Palestinian protesters? They call Israel a colonialist state. They don't know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, where David and Solomon ruled. For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home. He goes on, it's not only the campus protesters who get it wrong, it's also the people who run these campuses. 80 years after the Holocaust, 80, according to Abraham Lincoln, 7 was 87, 80 years ago, 80 years after the Holocaust, the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and I'm ashamed to say my alma mater, MIT, couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews. Remember what they said? They said, it depends on the context. Well, let me give those befuddled academics a little context. Now, this is important, folks. Listen to this. He said, anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred. For centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells to spreading plagues to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs. These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust. Now, just as malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people, malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. No. Don't applaud. They started clapping as he stopped them. Don't clap. Listen. The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize Israel, to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere. And no wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world. This is, my friends, whenever and wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism, we must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it without exception. And don't be fooled when the blood libels against the Jewish state come from people who wear fancy silk robes and speak in lofty tones about law and justice. Here's the case in point. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. It is utter, complete, and he thumped on the podium, utter, complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication. Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. 40,000. That's 500,000 tons of food. And what's more, that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza. Not just one time. And so if there are Palestinians in Gaza who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it. It's because Hamas is stealing it. God, these words feel like, I told you, I had great empathy with him listening to him today. And the way I'm reading it, the empathy is just pouring out. I feel like I'm channeling what he was saying because his words were genuine and his words were true. So much for that lie. But here's another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians. What on God's green earth is he talking about? The IDF has dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. This is something, by the way, Israel has always done this when they've engaged in any kind of war activity with the countries around them. They always warn the civilians to get out. Come to Israel. We will protect you. We're going to bomb your country. We're bombing your neighborhood. Get out. Come here. But at the same time, Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way. In harm's way. They fire rockets from schools and hospitals, from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave the war zone. A senior Hamas official, Fatih Hamad, boasted, listen to this, he boasted that Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil, he says. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For Hamas, every civilian death is a strategy. They actually want Palestinian civilians to die so that Israel will be smeared in the international media and be pressured to end the war before it's won. Don't you see the propaganda tail at work here, folks? This would enable Hamas to survive another day, and as they vowed, to carry out October 7th again and again and again. Well, I want to assure you, no matter what pressure is brought to bear, I, Netanyahu, will never allow that to happen. The vast majority, and he's getting standing ovations still at every turn of this speech. The vast majority of Americans have not fallen for this Hamas propaganda. They continue to support Israel. And I want to say, thank you, America. And thank you, senators and House members who continue to support us, continue to support Israel, continue to support the truth and see through the lies. But as for the minority that may have fallen for Hamas's con job, I suggest you listen to Colonel John Spencer. John Spencer is head of urban warfare studies at West Point. He studied every major urban conflict. I was going to say in modern history, but he corrected me. No, in all of history. Israel, Spencer said, has implemented more precautions to prevent civilian harm than any military in history and beyond what international law requires. That's why, despite all the lies you've heard, the war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatant casualties in the history of urban warfare. And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza? It's lowest in Rafah. In Rafah. Remember that so many people said, if Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed. Well, last week, I went into Rafah. I visited our troops as they finished fighting Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions. I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203. I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none in comparison, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapon depot and unintentionally killed 24 people. The answer is practically none. You want to know why? Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way. Something people said we could never do, but we did it. These heroes here today, he pointed to the 4 men he had introduced, the heroic soldiers of Israel, shouldn't be condemned for how they are conducting the war in Gaza. They should be commended for it. I want to thank all of you here today who have forcefully opposed the false accusations of the ICC and stood up for the truth. These lies are not only libelous, they're downright dangerous. The ICC is trying to shackle Israel's hands and prevent us from defending ourselves. And if Israel's hands are tied, America is next. I'll tell you what else is next. The ability of all democracies to fight terrorism will be imperiled. That's what's on the line. So let me assure you, the hands of the Jewish state will never be shackled. Israel will always defend itself. My friends, in the Middle East, Iran is virtually behind all terrorism, all the turmoil, all the chaos, all the killing. And that should come as no surprise. When he founded the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Khomeini pledged, we will export our revolution to the entire world. We will export the Islamic revolution to the entire world. Now ask yourself, he goes on, which country ultimately stands in the way of Iran's maniacal plans to impose radical Islam on the world? And the answer is clear. It's America, the guardian of Western civilization and the world's greatest power. That's why Iran sees America as its greatest enemy. Why do you think they're out there chanting death to America? Why do you think they're out there? America's the great devil. Because we stand in their way. He goes on, last month I heard a revealing comment, ostensibly about the war in Gaza, but about something else. It came from the foreign minister of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, and he said this is not a war with Israel. Israel, he said, is merely a tool. The main war, the real war, you guessed it, is with America. Iran's regime has been fighting America from the moment it came to power. In 1979, it stormed the American embassy. How many of you here are old enough to remember that? I am. I was 19 years old when that happened. I was in my junior year in college in 1979. It stormed the American embassy. It held scores of American hostages for 444 days. Since then, Iran's terrorist proxies have targeted America in the Middle East and beyond. In Beirut, they killed 240 U.S. servicemen. In Africa, they bombed American embassies. In Iraq, they supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of American soldiers. In America, they actually sent death squads to America. They sent death squads here to murder a former Secretary of State and a former National Security Advisor. And as we recently learned, they even brazenly threatened to assassinate President Trump. But Iran understands that to truly challenge America, it must first conquer the Middle East. And for this, it uses its many proxies, including the Houthis, the Hezbollah, Hamas. Yet in the heart of the Middle East, standing in Iran's way, is one proud pro-American democracy. My country, he said, the state of Israel. That's why the mobs in Tehran chant death to Israel before they chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first. America is next. So when Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one thing more, when Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from, we're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you. If you remember one thing, my friends, one thing from this speech, remember this. Our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight, and our victory will be your victory. Ladies and gentlemen, the victory is in sight. Israel's defeat of Hamas will be a powerful blow to Iran's axis of terror. Another part of that axis, Hezbollah, attacked Israel on October 8th, the day after the Hamas attack. It has launched thousands of missiles and drones against us. 80,000 of our citizens in northern Israel evacuated their homes, becoming effectively refugees in their own land. We were committed to returning them home. We are committed to returning them home. We prefer to achieve this diplomatically. But let me be clear, Israel will do whatever it must do to restore security to our northern border and return our people safely to their homes. Last Friday, he said, a third Iranian proxy, the Houthis, attacked Tel Aviv. That's the capital city of Israel, not Jerusalem, in case you didn't know that, with a deadly drone. It exploded a few hundred feet from the American consulate, killing one person and injuring 9. On Saturday, I authorized a swift response to that attack. All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price. That's kind of like the story of Trump when he walked in and they were talking to, was it an ISIS? Somebody in ISIS high up. And they had him on the monitors, and Trump said to him, all Trump said was this. He said, hurt one American and I will kill you. People go, oh, I can't believe he did it. That's not very diplomatic. No, it's not. But it's smart and it's strength. Hurt one American and I will kill you. And then he picked up his phone, dialed in something, and then held up the picture. And the picture on the phone was the ISIS guy's home, that he didn't know anybody knew where he lived. He says, I will kill you. I will kill your wife. I will kill your children. I will kill your family. If one American dies. Take you to the bank. Then Trump turned, left the room. What did Netanyahu say? All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price. And as we defend ourselves on all fronts, I know that America has our back. And I thank you for it. All sides of the aisle in this room, thank you. My friends, for decades, America has provided Israel. Here's where he's doing the ask. For decades, America has provided Israel with generous military assistance, and a grateful Israel has provided America with critical intelligence that saved many lives. There's the exchange, folks. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated, with America, developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth. I choose my words carefully. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth that help protect both our countries. And we also help keep American boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East. I deeply appreciate America's support, including in this current war. But this is an exceptional moment. Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza and help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines of civilization, Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words: "Give us the tools and we'll finish the job." Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America: give us the tools faster and we'll finish the job faster. My dear friends, the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages. The war would be over. But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities and its rule in Gaza and bring all our hostages home. That's what total victory means, and we'll settle for nothing less. The day after we defeat Hamas, a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza, but for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security over there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. Gaza should have a civilian administration run by Palestinians who don't seek to destroy Israel. That's not too much to ask. It's a fundamental thing that we have a right to demand and receive. A new generation of Palestinians must no longer be taught to hate Jews, but rather to live in peace with us. Those twin words, demilitarization and de-radicalization, those two concepts were applied to Germany and Japan after World War II. And that led to decades of peace, prosperity, and security. Following our victory with the help of regional partners, the demilitarization and de-radicalization of Gaza can also lead to a future of security, prosperity, and peace. That's my vision for Gaza. Now, here's my vision for the broader Middle East. It's also shaped in part by what we saw in the aftermath of World War II. After that war, America forged a security alliance in Europe to counter the growing Soviet threat. Likewise, America and Israel today can forge a security alliance in the Middle East to counter the growing Iranian threat. All countries that are in peace with Israel and all those countries who will make peace with Israel should be invited to join this alliance. We saw a glimpse of that potential alliance on April 14th. Led by the United States, more than half a dozen nations worked alongside Israel to help neutralize hundreds of missiles and drones launched by Iran against us. Thank you, President Biden, for bringing that coalition together. The new alliance I envision would be a natural extension of the groundbreaking Abraham Accords. Those accords saw peace forged between Israel and 4 Arab countries, and they were supported by Republican and Democrats alike. I have a name for this new alliance. I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords. Like Americans, Israelis were relieved that President Trump emerged safe and sound from that dastardly attack on him, dastardly attack on American democracy. There's no room for political violence in democracies. I also want to thank President Trump for all the things he did for Israel, from recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, to confronting Iran's aggression, to recognizing Jerusalem as our capital and moving the American embassy there. That's Jerusalem, our eternal capital, never to be divided again. My dear friends, Democrats and Republicans, despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide, and against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland. We built a powerful and vibrant democracy, a democracy that pushes the boundaries of innovation for the betterment of all humanity. I'm hopeful about America because I'm hopeful about Americans. I know how much the people of this country have sacrificed to defend freedom. America will continue to be a force for light and good in a dark and dangerous world. For free peoples everywhere, America remains the beacon of liberty its extraordinary founders envisioned back in 1776. Working together, I'm confident that our two nations will vanquish the tyrants and terrorists who threaten us both. As Israel's prime minister, I promise you this: no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the road ahead, Israel will not relent. Israel will not bend. We will defend our land. We will defend our people. We will fight until we achieve victory. Victory of liberty over tyranny, victory of life over death, victory of good over evil. That's our solemn commitment. And we will continue to work with the United States, I could add, as they have for the last 80 years, and our Arab partners to transform a troubled region from a backwater of oppression, poverty, and war into a thriving oasis of dignity, prosperity, and peace. In this noble mission, as in many others, Israel will always remain America's indispensable ally. Through thick and thin, in good times and in bad, Israel will always be your loyal friend and your steadfast partner. On behalf of the people of Israel, I came here to say, thank you, America. Thank you for your support and solidarity. Thank you for standing with Israel in our hour of need. Together we shall defend our common civilization. Together we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations. May God bless Israel. May God bless America. And may God bless the great alliance between Israel and America forever. And those were the words of Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, to the joint houses of Congress this afternoon. Niall says, the last comment on here, he said, we live in an age of propaganda, super personified in 4K. What we look at as super leadership does now, by default, cause irreversible division. Let me wrap my head around that for a minute. I still think we need leaders. We need strong leaders. What Benjamin Netanyahu said today is what a leader says and how a leader speaks. He doesn't wet his finger and stick it in the wind to see which way the wind is blowing. He's like, fuck the wind. I will do what is right and what I need to do. I thought that was a powerful speech today. And I will tell you one thing. You don't have to buy this for one instant, what I'm about to say. You might not think this about me. I do not think more highly of myself than I should. And look at me, folks, if I come across ever, oh, he's egotistical, or I know everything and I do this and that. You know what that is? That's a cover for my insecurities, for my ability to look at myself and say, I have not achieved. I have not done what I should be doing. I'm not there. I'm not the leader some of these people are. I'm not a leader at all. And so I preface what I'm going to say with all of that to say this is that there is, I'm still struggling with how to say it so it doesn't come off wrong. We talk about meditation here. We talk about metaphysics. We talk about psychic abilities, intuition, spirit, the universe, God, all of these things. And it's like I said to Rainey not long ago, and I may have said it on the show not long ago, said to Rainey many times over the years, if we don't do this and act this way, then we are hypocrites for what we say we believe. So I listened to that speech today, and I've listened to a lot of speeches. There are some things where the words move me or the words are fantastic and they're great and so on. But it is rare that I sit and get if it's nothing else other than empathy, empathic intuition. I listened to Netanyahu today and I saw in him and felt in him a man who was saying what he meant and what he believed. Not just saying words. That's why I bristled a little earlier when you said it wasn't Susie Q that said it. It was doesn't matter. You can look back. I bristled a little bit only because I'm like, no, I haven't even delivered what he said yet, and you're already saying something cynical about it. And I think it's because I felt the lack of cynicism when I listened to him. And some people might go, oh, well, that's just because you love Israel, and oh, you're a big supporter of Israel. And so, no, it's not. There are a lot of things I believe in, but don't necessarily believe in some of the other people that say they support those things. I take issue with politics. Does that mean that good people don't sometimes have to play the political game? No. Sometimes you do. And by playing the game, I don't mean kowtowing to politics. I mean, sometimes you have to enter the world of politics and state your case. Ball's in your hand for a few minutes. You got to make it work. I saw in Netanyahu today and felt in Netanyahu and felt as I repeated his words today. I don't care what you think of Netanyahu. I believe what he said is genuine. And it's from his heart. And he believes that this is his country. That would be just like me speaking about America. This is my country. This is the way I will speak of my nation. What if I had to go to some foreign country that was an ally and ask for money and support? Yeah, I'd come a little humble pie with my hat in my hand. But my hat wouldn't be so far into the palm of my hand that I was not a genuine person, that I was not hard and I was not direct. That's what leaders do. Elvis is in the house. Elvis. And so, just thought of risk. Risk is our business. That's what this starship is for. That's why we are aboard her, said Kirk. So I believed what Netanyahu had to say today. I have no doubt I will not be disappointed because I believe he was being genuine and real and meant every word he said. I believe that he doesn't want to wipe out Palestinians. He wants to wipe out the threat of Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, who are funded by Iran. Elderberry says, look at it this way. He says, anyone who's allowed to protect itself, Hamasaki, are you saying Hamas? Should never have been. Exactly. PLO was already recognized. We bend too much for these Muslims. I agree. That doesn't mean I don't hate any Muslims. I really don't. The only ones I have any disdain for are those that want to take other people's lives, just like I would be against anybody of any political persuasion that would want to kill me or my family or people in my country. Yeah, we're all allowed to protect ourselves. Elvis says, do you still work at Quick Trip? No. It was a year ago when I stopped working there. I worked there for all of 6 or 7 weeks last summer. And I said, I'm not doing this. So no, I don't. Why? I'm curious why. Why you ask, Elvis? Did you pull in there late one night in your pink Cadillac? With the hood, with the cover down? So, yeah, I went to work at Quick Trip for a few weeks to try to earn a little bit of money. Then I had my client, one of my biggest clients, brought in a job for me that would have equated to maybe 5 months worth of my income working 8 hours a day, graveyard shift. And I said, see ya. I gave him notice. I said, look, I've got this big project coming. And I said, I'm gonna take this project on. It was ghostwriting a book and designing it and all the stuff that goes along with it. And I said, you know what? I need to bail on Quick Trip. And I gave him 2 weeks. And that's when I also, in the middle of that, broke that bone in my foot. It was a hairline break, but it hurt like shit. And I don't even know how I did it. I was walking across the street. I have to remember, I put in, if you remember the story, put in a garage sale sign. We were having a garage sale. Drove the van up to the big intersection. I put a sign in, and I walked back across the street to the van, and I heard something go pop in the bottom of my foot, and I about fell over, and I couldn't for a couple of weeks. Well, the first few days was excruciating. I went in to have it checked, and they said, we don't see much in there, but there is this right here. It's a little hairline. It's like the ligament popped or did something and yanked on that bone enough that it put a hairline in, but it settled right back into place. It's going to hurt for a while, they told me. And so I told them, I said, Quick Trip, I said, you know what, that notice? I said, I can't stand on my feet for 8 hours a night now. I said, I hate to tell you. And they said, that's just fine. And I go in there all the time. We go in there, we shop in there all the time. I see the old manager a lot. And she always calls out, hey, Scotty. So, because I always had a great attitude when I was there, as I told you all. So that's it for a Quick Trip. No, I don't work there anymore. And I don't miss it. There were days, I got to tell you, where I was standing in the cooler on the back side of the cooler. You could see the store from in there. And it's late night. One other person comes out and working it. I was generally alone from, I don't know, midnight to 6 a.m., 5 a.m. But I'm standing in there and I'm stocking eggs in the cooler. And I had a great attitude when I was there. I think you bring your attitude. You always bring your attitude. You make other people's day. And that's the way I was. I always talk like this. Hey, how you doing? Hey, good morning. Good evening. And I was on. I was up. I was never, I gotta work. Whoa, I hate my job. Those people suck. You hate your job, keep it to yourself, for God's sake, or go somewhere else and complain. Stay out of my face. So I always tried to make people's day, and I was always as I could be. And there were times I was dragging by the end of the night as the morning people were coming in. But I remember stocking eggs, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm stocking eggs. Wow, that's what my master's degree got me. That's what and I never got the degree. I just went to school for 2 years for my master's, 2 years for my bachelor's, never finished it. 3 years no. I graduated high school. I went 3 years to college, didn't graduate. Went 2 years to seminary, didn't graduate. They brought me in and were going to tutor me in the final credits for my bachelor's, which we didn't finish that either. And I was working on my master's. So I had a good 5 years of post-grad education. Never got a degree. I'm a guy sitting before you today with a high school diploma, but 5 years of post-grad education. So I'm sitting in there and I'm stocking, and I'm saying to myself, I went to college for 3 years. I went to seminary for 2 years. I was working on my master's degree. I've owned three businesses in my life. I've written books and they're published. I didn't publish them all. They were published by a publisher, which meant something. There was clout to that in my head. And I started adding up all my accomplishments because I had nothing else to do while I'm stocking eggs and cheese and milk and power drinks. And I thought, and here I am, stocking eggs and cheese and milk and power drinks, making coffee, cleaning the tea kettles, mopping the floor, because you didn't have janitors. You had to dress nice to be the clerk, but the clerks were also the janitors. So anyway, that's one of the few times I cried in my soup, but nobody there ever saw that from my attitude or the look on my face. I did my job and I brought my attitude, and I had a great attitude. So Elderberry says, I don't believe any war is holy. It's the most evil thing about humanity. I agree with you. I think Netanyahu agrees with you. I think Trump agrees with you. Probably most people will agree with you, except those who want to wage war to take something that belongs to you. They think war is holy. They're the ones that sanctify it. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. All of that over Elvis's question. Do you still work at Quick Trip? No, I don't. Quick Trip is nothing to me. It's a place to get donuts, a place to get slushies for my kids, and it's got a nice store in it. But now Rainey's store where she works, right next door, the dollar store, they're doing all the same things. They brought in a fresh produce section in the Dollar General. You know, the whole section, it's about 12 feet long with four or five shelves, but they've got the wooden crates at an angle, and they're full of fresh veggies, fresh produce, fresh fruit, stuff like that. They just redid that in their remodel a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. So, and now Rainey, I was just wondering, she's off for 3 weeks. I wonder how they're doing over there, because she took this week off because she's got rowing at camp, scout camp. And then they're home on Saturday evening. And then on Tuesday, they fly back. They fly to Alaska, Rowan and Rainey. It's Rowan's turn to go to Alaska with Rainey. I haven't been yet, but Flynn has, and now Rowan's going. Ellie will get it next time. Hopefully, Rainey and I will have a chance to have a trip of our own in there somewhere.
What are you on the phone with?
I'm not on the phone. I'm on radio.
I thought you were on the phone.
Oh, my phone is upstairs. So there's Ellery. She got to go swimming tonight.
I'm tired.
You're tired?
Tired.
Yeah. Well, you can lay down and go to bed. You gonna lay down over there?
I don't want to go to bed.
Okay, we'll go sit down and take your ease.
What are you talking about?
We talked about Benjamin Netanyahu. You actually pronounced his name really well. She came in and she saw what I was writing up for tonight. And she said, "Who is Netanyahu?" I said, "Well, let me tell you who he is." Morgan Snow says RDG got that last year. Cool. That's real nice. Hey, Blondie, says Susie Q. Talking to you. She's all natural. You give this about 3 more inches of growth, and she'll just need a trailer on blocks. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here for the show portion. We're going to come back in a couple of minutes with the captain's cabin if anybody wants to call in and talk about things. I only do this to give us a break. If you need a potty break or need to do anything else, now's your chance. So let's get out of here for just a little bit, and I'll be right back in a couple of minutes. So everybody, sit tight. Don't go away. If you got to go, live long and prosper. Otherwise, we'll see you right back here.
The Intrepid Radio Program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey folks, this is Scotty Roberts, and this is the Intrepid Radio broadcast. I've been broadcasting for about 20 years now, covering such topics as science, politics, the paranormal, weird science, weird world history, archaeology, and the paranormal. Everything from ghosts to cryptids to creepy things that go bump in the night. So every week I bring you 3 new episodes. Come and join my channel and also be a patron to this site. So see the details below, and we'll see you here.
Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave.
So, how does this work? I'm filling in for Dad because he's gone right now. I don't know how this works. Private chat comments. Hello. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Scotty, you look different. How you waiting for your dad to come back?
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. How are you?
Good.
Your hair looks great, by the way.
Thanks.
Did you dye it? I think you did. Yeah, you dyed it. Yeah, yeah. Do you like being blonde?
Yeah.
Yeah, it suits you. It suits your face. Yeah. Yeah. So what are you up to tonight?
Nothing.
Nothing. You watching TV, playing games?
Watching
What are you up to?
TV.
Anything good on?
No.
No. Do you like? Are you a gamer? Do you like to play games?
Sometimes.
Yeah. What is it you like to do most of all?
Fortnite.
Yeah. No, I mean not the game. Do you like to draw? Do you like to read? Do you like to play sports? What's your big thing? What's your
Cheer.
favorite thing?
Cheer.
What's that? Like a cheerleader?
Yeah.
Oh, you do the twirly thing, do you? With the baton or with the things on your hands? Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
pom poms.
pom poms. Is that what they're called? Pom poms. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also really like volleyball.
Volleyball. Is that a bit like basketball? Is it?
Yeah. There's like a rectangle net thing. It doesn't go all the way to the ground or all the way to the ceiling, but you throw the ball over the net, but like serve it, and then you
Yeah.
have to hit it with your forearms.
Oh, that's right. You can't use your hand. You have to hit it. It's like the only thing I've ever watched volleyball is like beach volleyball. On the beach, they play volleyball on the beach, don't they? A lot.
Yeah.
Where you hit it with your forearm, and there's two people on either team.
That's
That's beach volleyball, is it?
yeah.
You talking to
Yeah.
somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's talking to me.
Oh, Niall in Ireland.
Yeah, we're talking about beach volleyball.
All right.
I was asking her what's her favorite thing to do, and she said a cheerleader. And I says, and we don't have a big culture of cheerleading in this country, but we do have a big culture of baton twirlers. I said, do you mean like the baton twirlers? You know?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
She said and she's, am I right? Pom poms, the ones with the pom poms, which is the tinsel coverings on your hands. at
Yes.
football games. Yeah,
Pom
they're called
poms, yeah.
pom poms. Yeah,
You do
and
that.
then I asked her what she was doing, and then she was telling me she watching TV, and any good? And she said no, and I said, "What are you into?" And she says, "No," and then
Disney
sport.
Descendants.
And then she started talking to me about volleyball. Yeah. So then I said, "Is volleyball like basketball?" And she said, "Kind of, but it's a bit different." Yeah. So
A bit
yeah.
different.
But it's kind of like basketball, but except it's with a net.
Right.
And it's but and you can only hit it with your forearm, isn't that right? Yeah.
I think
Cool.
you can slap it for spiking a ball.
Oh, for
or,
a slam dunk or whatever you call it. Yeah.
yeah.
Stop it.
Field guy said push all the buttons. I was upstairs and I went, I wonder if I told her don't push any buttons.
She did.
She knew how to take your call.
Yeah. So that's what we were talking about. You know?
That's great. Let's see. What does Elderberry say? What's everybody saying here?
And one other thing, I asked her if she likes being a blonde, and I'm trying to figure out who she looks like. She looks like a famous actress with the blonde hair, and I'm going to tell you exactly who it is. She was in a movie called Arrival. Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence. She does.
She looks exactly like Jennifer
a young
Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence.
I got a kitty cat.
You know, remember who Katniss is in Hunger Games?
Isn't she like that girl with the? She always kept the braid right here.
Yeah, but she's got blonde hair in real life, or maybe.
Oh.
You kind of look like her as a kid.
Peekaboo.
Yeah.
So doesn't she look the image of Jennifer Lawrence?
She does. She does.
Yeah.
She's got the facial structure.
She's got the facial structure, and now that she has the hair, I mean, it's brought it out of her. Yeah. So all you need now is a bow and arrow, and
yes. See, now she's got here. Bend down a little. She's got mom's hair, the same color as mom.
Mm-hmm.
But she wanted to go pink, so they had to bleach it first. Mom let her do it. Mom helped her.
Yeah.
And then they tried the pink, and it didn't work very well. And she had funny looking hair, strawberry pinkish blonde, and she just let it go.
Well,
so
I wanted it that way, but it came out in the pool.
Oh, that's right. The pool washed out. The chlorine in the pool changed it funny colors.
Do you know what? I'm glad that you're blonde, because if you're pink, you would just be pink. But the blonde hair, she looks really beautiful and very angelic with the blonde hair.
What do you
and you look exactly like Jennifer Lawrence. All right.
Be precocious and go, thank you.
Okay. That's a compliment, big compliment. So,
Thanks.
You keep him shut up in that sweater, you might get scratched if he's trying to claw his way out of there.
I have shirt right here.
He pokes me through my shirt sometimes.
I have shirt right here.
All right.
Okay.
All right. At least, one thing about our cat, from the time he was a 9-week-old kitty, we socialized him so that we could take him and turn him.
Is that even possible to socialize a cat?
Yeah, for a cat. Here, let me have him for a second. Unzip that sweater and let me take him. Here, Bob. Here. See, so we always held him like this.
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing? And rubbed his belly.
Give him back when
and so he's like, I think he wants to run now from you. He doesn't want to be held in a sweater.
You have to give him
So
back.
we socialized him so that, hey, Bob, look at me. Yeah.
Bob.
So, yeah, Bob Saget.
I was never a cat guy. I'm more a dog guy.
I'm not a cat guy at all. Trust me. I just like him because he's my cat. But I put up with him because he's our cat. But I'm not a big cat fan. Never have been. I'm a dog guy. And
I love cats, but I love.
I wanted to show something here.
Cats are. A lot of people like cats for some reason. I think it's one of the big divisions in people. You're either a cat dog.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody who's both. Well, I've met a few, but normally you either go one way or the other. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
you can be a people or I'm
yeah,
sorry, an animal person.
uh,
And I think you can do that and be um like them all. You know, it's like on the farm. What's your favorite animal? Well, I liked the horses and I trained horses. I liked dogs. I trained dogs.
mm.
I could never train a chicken. They were hard to train.
No,
So, hey, Valerie. I just saw her in here. And by the way, if I didn't say hi to anybody tonight, it's because I didn't get to it. Sorry. But hi
And-
to everybody who's here.
Can I just ask you, why does the cat like to be under your jumper?
Why does the cat like to be in there?
I don't think he likes it. It's just
I don't think he likes it, but he loves her, but he doesn't like being in the sweater.
I don't think
His
he likes
eyes right
being-
now. His eyes are like half closed. They're like slits in there.
Yeah.
So
fall asleep.
he doesn't. She does terrible things to the cat. And she says she does terrible things, like plays with him and throws him in the air like a baby. Oh, how's my baby? And, moves his paws, his legs, and he just lays. He just takes it. You know why? He loves her. He doesn't like that stuff, but he loves her.
Cool.
So that's a plus.
I know whatever you're into, but cats are not my thing.
Not mine either. I'm not a cat fan. So for all you cat fans out there, you can have
it's not a whereas the dog can look you in the eye and you know that they love you. Whereas a cat, you're never quite sure whether they're just using you or just
right. Cats using you. They're all users. Yes.
Yeah.
We should get another cat and name him Meowie.
No, we shouldn't get another cat and name him Meowie.
We can name him Meowie.
No.
Meowie.
No, that's a dumb name.
Meowie.
Where'd you come up with a stupid name like that, you ugly little girl?
Or Dwayne the Kitty Johnson.
Dwayne the Kitty Johnson. He wants out now. When he meows like that, he wants out.
He's falling asleep. That's why he's mad.
That's not a falling asleep meow. Is not a falling asleep meow.
I think that cat is in there going, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
How can I get out of it?
Out of here. Somebody please rescue me.
Yeah.
Trying to get out.
Bob. You should let him out. You want him to be there because he wants to be there, not because you're forcing him to be there.
Yeah,
See,
and he's gone straight
He
away.
didn't go far. He only went a couple of feet, so he just wanted out of there. So it's too hot in there, I think. So here I'm going to put up a little graphic. I did this graphic today because I'm going to do a little contest, and it's not open to you adults. It's open to middle school and high school kids. Write your best 500-word essay on your and Niall, you'd fail at this anyway. Who's your favorite U.S. founder and why? And you could possibly win. I've shown this book on here before. This book, The Constitution of the United States and Other Founding Documents. And so, what?
I go into middle school, though.
When do you go to middle school? Not this next year.
I go in 2 years.
2 years.
I'd be 5th grade in 2 years.
Well, we might have a whole new contest back then. So, folks, if you've got kids or grandkids or no kids, I'm looking for a 500-word essay. Makes it sound hoity-toity. Their own little story about who is their favorite founding father of the United States of America. Or, of course, you have to now you have to say a founder. You can't say founding father because it's just male only. And there were women. Betsy Ross was a founder in a way. And there were other women who were. So who was your favorite founder and why? 500 words or less. And we'll put their name in a hat. And this will be the drawing. Now, this is the official drawing. I may also throw in some other stuff. So we'll make the prize worthwhile. This is the initial prize. And so there,
Cool.
I thought I'd show you all that. I just put that up today.
As a European, I can't possibly comment
Yes.
on that. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
As
that's-
a European, that would be tough for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd fail at first base, as you guys say, or something like that.
I got this great book over here because the founding fathers have gotten a bad rap over the years. Why? Because of political correctness and all that. And I bought this book several years ago. I had glasses. Oh, there they are. That's like doing this and going, I can't find my glasses anywhere on my head. So this book was written in, and I picked it up a few years ago in, looking for a date. Why is the date so? In 1997. So this book is already almost 30 years old, but it's called Vindicating the Founders. And it's race, sex, class, and justice in the origins.
So a very light topic. Very light topic.
Yes, a light topic.
Yeah.
And so I've been planning and thinking for a long time of doing a series on this because I think this is a fantastic book.
Yeah, but I have to jump in straight away and say that
it's not going to fascinate you.
Well,
It might fascinate you. It's not going to be pertinent.
Not pertinent, but I can understand why it would fascinate you,
Yes.
or through the lens of you,
Right.
And how you view, especially Americana and the founding of the nation, and then the whole kind of narrative and
Yes.
where we are, and the religious kind of overtones, and also the kind of fantasy of what I would consider a fantasy of what it all means, brought into some kind of reality that makes sense, and that and that might appeal to people. I suppose with an undertaking like that, you have to be careful not to be preachy, or even give off the impressions of being preachy with something like that. But I think it's a noble ambition, Scotty. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I think it's a noble ambition. But I know how passionate you can get, though, about these things. So
I do.
Yeah.
And I like this book here. I'm just going to read the flyleaf. It says, this book helps us learn from Jefferson, Hamilton, and Madison, and there aren't many better teachers about America, said William Crystal. He said, today students are taught that America's founding fathers were racist, sexist, and elitist. Historians condemn them as hypocrites who failed to live up to their own enlightened principles. In this landmark book, Thomas G. West debunks these and other widely held myths about the founders' political thought. It's commonly but incorrectly asserted that because Washington and Jefferson owned slaves, because women, even after the American Revolution, enjoyed virtually no rights, and because the poor and those without property were denied their basic tenets of democratic participation, that the founders were frauds who never really believed that all men were created equal. West demonstrates why such politically correct interpretations are not only dead wrong, but dangerous. Because our understanding of the founders so profoundly influences our opinion of contemporary America, this book explains why their views, and particularly the constitutional order they created, are still worthy of our highest respect. West proves that the founders were indeed sincere in their belief of universal human rights and in their commitment to democracy. And by contrasting the founders' ideas of liberty and equality with today's, West persuasively concludes that contemporary notions bear almost no resemblance to the concepts originally articulated by the founders. This
Absolutely.
controversial, convincing, and highly original book is important reading for everyone concerned about the origins, present, and future of the American experiment in self-government.
Absolutely, I think that's quite brilliant. I think it's very simply put.
Vindicating the founders.
It's a way of making contemporary thought out of
Yes.
a different cultural context
Yes.
in which the founding fathers wrote the Constitution of the United States of America. They thought differently. They came from a different background.
Yeah.
In this day and age, they wouldn't think that way. They
And
were
18th century great thinkers, even futurists of the 18th century, did not think like we do in the 21st century.
yes. I think
The concepts are similar, but
I like the idea of it. It's a book that tries to tackle the past through a contemporary lens via the sort of environment that was lived in or lived through at the time. Using the tools that they had to try and improve things, but it
Yes.
certainly cannot be examined through not exactly through the lens that we currently inhabit, but it can be understood. I think that's the most important word. It can be understood where they were. So when you
Right.
call these people racists and slave owners, and so, that is perfectly true on the surface to say that, but that is disregarding the fact that culturally and of their time, that was. I don't want to use a stupid
Yes.
word like the norm, but it was something that they were coming out of and becoming aware of, and they certainly weren't free of it.
And we use the word
Yeah.
paradigm in that
Yeah.
an awful lot. We say they were in a totally different enlightened paradigm than we are. To them, to speak of equal rights and all men are created equal, they didn't always consider the black man, the Native American man. They
didn't have the conceptual. They didn't have the conceptual kind of framework
right
to fully envisage. It's very easy for us to say, "Oh, well, they should have known this," and "Oh my God, these guys were monsters," and But that's why if you like to read history, you can better understand these things. Otherwise, you jump to conclusions.
Yes.
And I know as a European, it's not that important. But ironically, America is mostly European or transient. But at the same time,
or go down, whichever.
This idea of the foundation of the country, of the land, and what it stands for is extremely important.
Okay. Sorry. I heard everything you said. I just had to wrangle with the dog a little bit too.
Yeah, no worries.
So
yeah, no, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to talk to you about something totally different. Not politics, not Netanyahu, but maybe not with your daughter.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can do another time because
another time. Yeah.
She'll fight me, and by the time I get her out of here, we'll be done.
Yeah, no worries. But it was a good show. Very intense. But I knew it would be. Yeah.
It was good stuff. I thought.
I
think of you many times when I put up a topic. I actually think about you, only from the perspective of, believe it or not, because I get odd thoughts about people out of context from what you might think. Whenever I'm doing a topic and putting it up, every time I always wonder, is this going to be something that Niall can enjoy? Not being an American.
Actually, my conversation, which I wanted to bring up, was about family. It concerns family, but I think she's too young to hear the context of because it surrounds my own. I have an illness, multiple sclerosis, and I got a very bad diagnosis today. And the reactions of my family and things surrounding that, and how family understand illness.
Yes.
I wanted to bring that up, and how family can sometimes be in denial of another family member's sickness and stuff like that. So it's a bit too heady for herself to be sitting
I
and
understand
listening
that.
to. Yeah.
I will tell you this though, her being the youngest here,
Yeah.
she's heard it all and has seen it all. So to a certain extent. So
Yeah. I mean, she's very smart. I can tell, straight away. She
smart
wants
ass. You're a smart ass.
No, very smart.
So she is.
We don't use the word smart in Europe. We use the word intelligent. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
See,
yeah.
I think they're different things. I think there is smart and there's intelligent, because you can be really intelligent but really stupid. Meaning, what about street smarts? You could be
street smart
genius
and also smart means sarcastic. Yeah, there's a conflation with sarcasm and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and then again, you can also be extremely smart and wise, but not have a high intelligence. And it might be for other things. It might be,
for your use of instinct. Like some people are very instinctual.
Yes.
And they're very their instinct for other people who are highly intellectual would escape them totally. So that their instinct to support or provide or enable or make sure that everything comes together at the right time. Some people who mightn't have very high IQ would be worlds apart from anybody else in terms of keeping together a situation or saying the right thing or understanding a particular situation. So I was going to actually bring that up tonight, but it's just a bit too. I feel awkward.
Don't.
With your daughter sitting beside you.
I understand. That part I understand.
Yeah. So I was going to talk about illness and old age and family and all
that
stuff. Yeah, which is a bit too much, I think, for tonight. But it's just the way it worked out. It's just the way. I know she's curious to hear it, but I can't go there because
I understand that. That's okay.
It's not. I would just feel awkward.
That's all right.
Yeah, but
I get that and I understand it.
I didn't want to say anything about Netanyahu because one thing I will say about Netanyahu is just I'm very confused and kind of not confused is the wrong word. I find myself unable to judge things anymore. There's some of the stuff that you said tonight that I can't really judge anymore. I can't justify what has happened in Gaza by any belief system or anything. I'm kind of worn out by the whole thing because everything is kind of beyond me now.
I think a lot of what's going on over there is a lot of propaganda. Yeah. I think there's one thing Netanyahu said tonight that is strikingly true, and that is that Hamas, as the leaders of the Palestinians, will do whatever it takes to sway world opinion. And I don't think there have been near as many deaths as Hamas claims. I think Hamas is responsible for a lot of the deaths of its own people. And even calling them their own people is even in error because I don't think they stand for the Gazans necessarily or the Palestinians. They stand for the particular brand or breed of Islam that is fostered out of Iran. And
to put it very simply, Scotty, there was a time I could sit down and have a huge political debate about what I believe in or what I believe is the absolute truth and what is going on and the role of propaganda. These days, propaganda has been so propagandized in that it's kind of become a satire. And that's
Yes.
I posted a few comments that said it's satirization. It's everything from the assassination or the attempted assassination of Trump and his reaction to it, and then the whole thing
Right.
about Biden and the role of America and the pullout of Afghanistan and Capitol Hill all the way down, to this latest thing about Kamala Harris. It's almost kind of comedic. You could make a great satire out of the whole thing, and so it's very difficult these days to kind of fall down. Well, I believe in this. It's what do you put your faith in anymore?
Right.
It's like if you're smart enough not to sort of follow the propaganda machine, well, then you just follow your own belief system.
We have certainly gone from the age of enlightenment to the age of cynicism, and that's what I believe. I think it's a temporary phase we're going through. Cynicism comes because we start to learn too much. We've entered the information age, is what I was going to say. Enlightenment to the information age. And in the information age, we've learned so much information and so much information about how information is created and dispensed or disseminated that we become cynical about everything.
And understood and digested and analyzed. We cannot make an informed decision anymore. In its most simplest form, it's almost like we've digressed back to before the printing press, where our informed decisions were based on the group we saw around us.
The word of priests most of the time.
Yes.
In Europe, European culture.
Which ironically, we are, at that stage. That's why I say I can't judge anymore. I can't say I'm this or I'm that, or I believe this, or I totally believe that, or I completely 100% believe that, because we're dealing with information is it's almost like we have to start again at some point.
Yeah.
At some point.
I think, you know what I think would be the best thing to ever happen, which would kill this show and many other things? We need one of those solar flares that wipes out everything that's technological. Now, a lot of people would die because of that, granted. But we need something to happen. I wouldn't mind if the internet went away, if TV went away, if phones went away. Now, of course, our societies depend on those things now, but we also know we came from ancestry that never had those things, even up till very recently, relatively speaking, the last century. There are peoples in the world today that don't even know what those things are. So
Scotty,
humans can survive.
During the Renaissance. During the Middle Ages, we understood more about life and how it works, and philosophy and belief systems and faith, and being instinctual about what our belief systems are than we ever can these days. You're a man with very strong belief systems. My belief systems used to be equally as strong, but you know what? It's not because I feel less stupid. Or more stupid or less intelligent. I've kind of opted out of the whole thing, because no matter what I say, somebody's going to disagree with it.
Sure.
And so we're always in this kind of realm of, well, this is what I believe, but that doesn't, what do you believe? So in a way, I look at the internet these days as we're kind of going full circle back into the
Yeah.
caves. In a way, we won't need a solar flare or a meteor
Well,
strike.
see, what has the internet done to us?
We'll just end up kind of just killing ourselves through our own.
Well, what the internet has done
madness.
for us, it's made us want to get back to nature.
Yeah.
In 20 short years. And many people are fed up with it. And I'm not fed up with it quite yet because it's very handy for what I do. And so I'm okay with it to a certain extent. But I also wouldn't mind if I had to hitch up the team to go to the store, or had to, I would definitely move south. I wouldn't live this far north without indoor heat. I don't want to be chopping trees all summer and stacking wood all summer.
No, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the way of thinking about your surroundings, and I think that the whole idea of as we get into this major crisis, I don't think we've even seen a crisis before, like a crisis of satire, as I call it. We're not in we don't have Hitler invading, we have Putin waiting on the wings, we have Iran, we have China, we have all these nasty people and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But it's not really happening. We think it's happening, but it's not really happening, we have the threat of nuclear annihilation. We have climate change, and we're all scared out of our wits, but we don't know what we're scared of, but we still want to believe in truth. Do we believe this person? Do we believe that person? Hell, we don't even know what we believe. So I used to be somebody who would be very argumentative, like yourself, and who would say, this is what I believe, and this is what I feel is the truth. But you know what? I don't think it's a sign of weakness to kind of go, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
I really don't know anymore. It's like...
it's like I've said for a long time now.
Yeah.
The more shit I know, the more I know I don't know shit.
Yeah. So that's when funny enough, when you stop kind of saying, well, this is where I stand, this is what I believe in, this is what I stand for, and that's it. Then once you kind of go, well, I'm not really sure, which is very hard, especially for men.
Sure.
I don't really know what's going on anymore. And I'm awaiting further notice,
Right.
But I don't like the way the world is unfolding. It's a world that's scary, and and young people are some of them are excellently positioned to take over, but the old guard is very hesitant to let go, and so we have the old ghosts of the Cold War still hanging over things, and Ukraine and Russia still looks like trench warfare from World War One, and everyone has a plan, and we all have the nasty guys and the good guys, and we still have our ideas of empire. But how real are those notions? Like, I listened to everything that you. I didn't want to talk about Netanyahu. I really didn't. But considering your orders beside you, I had to change tack.
It's all right.
But the passion that you hold that with is admirable. But that there's a million people out there.
That's because a million people aren't as smart as me.
Well, that's what
I was joking around about that earlier.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like when Netanyahu says, well, I don't want to kill Palestinians, whilst in the middle of killing a lot of Palestinians.
Well, here's the thing.
At the least, hypocrisy.
I think he's going for intent and choice. He is not deliberately killing Palestinians. They do everything they can to warn them to get out, to come here to safety. And it's Hamas that prevents them from going. So
At
what do
the
they
end
do?
of the
Go,
day,
oh, okay, I guess you won the war. No, they're
at the end
like,
of the day,
we're
it's a
bombing.
bit like everything changes very quickly these days as well. I mean, the problem that Americans have, as far as I can see, and after speaking at length 3 hours earlier on with an American, very good friend of mine from Tennessee, ex-military guy who knows all this stuff, and he says Americans are just annoyed that we have the Ukraine war, which we get. What did you guys get? How many trillions of dollars have you, or billions of dollars have you given to Ukraine?
Unbelievable amounts of money.
And how much stuff have you given to Ukraine or not, to Israel? And Netanyahu is up there, kind of saying, "No, we want to promote and maintain our friendship with the United States." But the problem, I can't get into this because it kind of wears me out. The problem is, if you speak to an average American, they don't really want to support Israel or Ukraine. They just want their health insurance. They want a good tax rate. They want to feel protected on their streets. America is the most divisive place on the planet. The whole idea of America being this kind of place that full of hope and glory, and a lot of average Americans, and my friend was talking from the point of view of the military. The military are as confused as anybody else. That's why we were talking about earlier on about the withdrawal from Afghanistan and how much of a mess that was. Basically, but Biden said, "Oh, you guys leave," and then there was all the Taliban rolled into town like the Wild West with their AK-47s, and everyone thought they were going to be slaughtered on the street. And there was like five U.S. Marines at the airport to begin with. And then all of a sudden, come back. We have to protect the people, even though they'd left everything behind and all the guns and everything. And we went straight into that and then into Ukraine, So we left all that equipment behind. And then all of a sudden we gave new equipment to Ukraine. So I think that, Americans are entitled to feel betrayed by both sides, by Trump, by Biden, by the Democrats, by the Republicans, because there's something not working here. There's something not right, and with all due respect, Scotty, the best, you know how much I love you, but you have a tendency to romanticize the American dream a bit too much. Whereas on the ground, I think people are like, what's going on here?
See, and I think that comes from cynicism. That doesn't come because we can't have it anymore. It comes because we keep doing things to fight it. The American dream is alive and real, but we've got to get rid of the bullshit. Is the only way to put it in a nutshell, because we've only got a couple of minutes. We should get out of here, but I got to get her to bed. But we should talk about this a little bit more.
I mean,
what is the American dream, and is it gone? And what would it take to achieve that again? I think there are a lot of political
simplicity,
things that need to be done.
Simplicity, not dogmatism, but simplicity is the key, and to the idea. You mentioned something about leadership. Leadership is capable of wonderful things, but it's also capable of oceans of blood and despair.
Right.
Again, it depends on what you put your faith in.
See, I look at the two leaders that were vying. Biden's now out of the picture, but now they got Kamala Harris, who's ridiculous. That's not going to happen.
I mean, one thing my friend said to me: every American can guarantee that Kamala Harris is not up to the job.
I don't know why the Democrats think she is. Something's up.
Yeah.
But I know Trump, whether people like him or not, it's not about liking Trump or even disagreeing with what his main message is. It's that it's people wanting to retain power.
Yeah,
And
I
they
think.
don't want Trump in because they want the power.
See, no, you
So
see, the thing with Trump is a force of nature, and it's Trump is
he
only
is.
like 3 years younger than Biden, but
Yeah.
he's
So that's
and
what tells you it's not age, it's mental faculties.
yeah,
It's
and
cognitive function.
yeah,
That's
and also he also has another weapon in his arsenal now, purely by fate. He is the guy who dodged the bullet, you know. So now
there's only that much
he
budget.
has a faith led uh, aspect to his mission, right?
Yeah.
I dodged the bullet. They tried to kill me, but they didn't succeed. Now you know that Trump is going to use that over and over again.
Well, here's the thing.
Uh,
I
mm,
think he has used it genuinely because he got up and he said, "This thing has really changed me." He says, "I'm not comfortable." He wasn't even comfortable talking about it. He said, "I came this close to being dead." And he said it wasn't because of anything special he did. He attributes it to the grace of God, of course, because he said, if I hadn't done this with my head, I'd be dead.
yeah,
And
so the big
so
question is not what Trump said, is do the American people believe what he says? And I
I
think
think many do.
absolutely. I think the series of events that has transpired from the assassination attempt to the fact that they didn't see the guy climbing up on the roof with the rifle, to all the stuff that's happened, you know, with the questioning of the people involved, why the Secret Service didn't catch this guy in time, to the unfortunate man who died, or the couple of people who died. I think there was two people, was there, or maybe just one man. And then now, you know, these questions have to be asked. Now, all of a sudden, we have a martyr by default, Trump, and this is the way Trump is going to play this. And his advisors are going to advise him to say, "Wow, we're onto a good thing now. You know, you're a martyr to the cause." I mean, and he says, "I dodged a bullet for democracy." You know,
Yeah,
only by even the wording, you know, by the grace of God the Almighty. You know, all this stuff. You know,
sure.
sound familiar? You know.
I think
Uh,
there are gracious, real ways to say that, and there are fake ways to say it.
mm.
But I'm going to say this, as Scott Allen just said, over half the people I know are voting Democrat. RFK Jr. has more of a shot now. Trump and Harris are both dangerous for this country, but Harris more so. However, if Trump wins, prepare for riots. See, I disagree with a lot of that, Scott, outside of your personal experience. Half the people I know aren't voting for Trump. So it depends on your experience, where you are in the country, what kind of region you're in, and so on and so on.
I personally speaking, from talking to a couple of Americans, and from a European perspective,
Mhm.
Trump is a shoe-in now, especially
Yeah,
because of the things that has transpired. Now he's on a mission. He's almost on a mission. Everything is bigger now. Have you noticed the last couple of rallies? They're bigger.
yep,
The
they're bigger.
flags, everything. It's
Yeah.
like hell. It's like 1930s Germany here. You know what I
Well,
mean?
here's what
Uh,
I think people right now in this country want somebody in that office that's going to do something worth change. They know there's a lot of people who like RFK Jr., but aren't going to vote for him because they know it's a spoiler vote and it's not going to achieve what they want.
which is the fault of the Democrats, because the Democrats have nobody strong enough.
They closed him out. He
They
was
don't
a
have.
Democrat.
they don't have the you know the intelligence and the oration of Obama or Clinton.
Right.
You know, they don't have anybody that really can stand up and go, yeah. They have Kamala Harris, who's proven herself to be completely ineffectual.
Yes.
You know,
She's an idiot.
yeah,
Not even a useful one.
and they want to get the black vote because of her and all this kind of stuff. You know, it's just
I don't think she's going to draw the black vote.
even
I'm
the
very
great
happy.
man himself, and I do admire Obama. Even the
Yeah.
great man himself has stood back from this and gone.
He hasn't endorsed her yet. So
Obama, I can just visualize Obama throwing up his hands and going, I don't know what to suggest, you know, or
I
who
think
to
he
suggest.
pulled a lot of strings behind the Biden presidency.
Yeah.
I think he was alive and well and living and channeling through Biden.
Well, you know, it's not Biden's fault.
No, I don't blame Biden.
Yeah,
I
a lot
really
of this
don't.
Is really Biden. You know, gave his
Biden
life
was kind of
he
this.
gave his life to politics.
Biden was a bit of a dummy who
Yeah.
hadn't really achieved anything. Was ambitious for the presidency, ran 4 times and didn't get it.
Yeah, but so he was around for
He's been around in
decades
politics
and
for 50
decades.
years.
Yeah.
He's been around in a job that was only meant to be 1 or 2 terms.
Yeah, I think Biden is he's the poor man. He's just too old. He's just too old. His faculties are starting
I'll
to
only
slip.
part with you on one thing there. I don't think he's too old. I think he's too incapacitated. When people started the too old talk a couple of years ago, I said, no, it's not about his age.
No,
it is about his mental faculties.
In his case, it's about his age. In his case, it's about his age, which is my own father suffers from a form of dementia. You wouldn't notice it, but he forgets things. You know, if
my dad is 84, he forgets things, but he doesn't have dementia.
But he's not the president. You know, neither is my father.
That's it.
So
not the president.
I mean, do you really want to see Biden be a president until he's 85?
Oh, hell no.
I mean, you know, so it was never going to happen.
Here's the question I asked, and I had people that try to take me to task for asking the question. I said, so if Biden is not fit enough to run for president in the campaign anymore, why do you tell us he's fit enough to be president for another 6 months? And if he's not fit to be president for the next 6 months, then he's not fit to, or if he is fit to be president for the next 6 months, why is he not fit to run? And I said, so the Democrats kind of have
they have an impossible situation at the moment.
They created an impossible situation.
If Biden steps up tomorrow and he says, listen, I'm out of here, right? I'm going to live in my, you know, home, and, you know, it's up to Camilla now. She's the vice president, so she's the president.
She is not an intellectual, by the way. Elderberry said he didn't just say Kamala was intellectual, did he? No, I don't think you said that.
No, I didn't say that.
No, she's the opposite of intellectual.
No, she's the vice president. So if Biden steps down, am I correct in saying that by default she will become president?
He stepped down from the campaign, but he didn't step down from the presidency. If he resigned the presidency, she would instantly be the vice president.
Yes.
Until the end of the term.
Yes.
And
from what I've been able to glean, I think pretty much all across the board, nobody has much respect for Kamala Harris.
No, she's got worse numbers than Joe had.
Yeah.
So
So,
I don't think that's going to happen. But man, the lefties are coming out of the woodwork. All the celebrities are back on board again. All praising Kamala Harris and what an amazing president she's going to make.
I mean,
they have to.
She's not that smart. She was put in charge of the border, and she didn't do anything. She didn't even visit it.
And guys, if you're all listening, go look up the video of the debate in 2020 for the 2020 election, where Tulsi Gabbard confronts Kamala Harris about her past and takes it right down the line. You know, if somebody would be a fit president right now, it'd be Tulsi Gabbard. That woman is sharp, and I wish
Yeah.
she was running. But
Well, you know what people really want from a Democrat. What they really want in America is Michelle Obama. But
no, I
Michelle,
don't think
no, no,
Americans want
no,
her.
no.
No.
Can I?
Yeah.
First of all, she's highly intelligent. She's very, very clued in, but she's very smart in that she says, "I don't want the job. Why would I want the job?
Yeah.
My husband was president for 2 terms, so I'm going to be the third one in. You know,
Yeah.
she's a humanitarian. She's a writer. She's an orator. She's a highly intelligent woman. I mean, she's. Why would I want to do this?
And
So,
Scott Allen just hit it on the head. I wish
Mm.
Tulsi could get in office, but this country is too dumb for her, and the power elite can't control her.
yeah.
And that's the truth.
So anyway,
Go
I didn't
listen to
want
some of her radio shows. Now, you might not have a lot of interest in it now because she talks about America, talks about our politics, and so on. But she is really good. So,
Well, I hope they get their act together, the Democrats, I mean. But as far as I can see, Trump is like some kind of, I don't know, he's like some kind of monster that just can't be contained, you know, and
he is
unless
a force of nature. You are right about
he's
that.
a force of nature. And, you know, I have no doubt that he's going to, and these current series of
Thank you,
events,
Susie.
from the assassination attempt to the down stepping of Biden and all of these things, and the lack of the Democrats to rally themselves.
I think he meant Susie Q more like a juggernaut, not a monster. Not
Yeah.
meaning an evil monster like a
No.
No.
He's just
it's like I said. I put up the picture where he's bleeding and the Secret Service are all around him. He's got his fist in the air. I put that picture up and I called him a fucking beast. I said he is a fucking beast.
Yeah, I mean, he can't be
now than I was before.
He can't be categorized. You know, he's kind of, in a way, he's kind of feral. You know, and maybe that is what the world needs. Maybe that's what America needs. If anything, now he's even more feral in that now he's, you know, in his head, you know.
I saw a much different Trump after the shooting. I saw him.
I think that was an act, Scotty.
I don't think it was an act. I don't think he puts on airs. I think Trump is the monster you say. He's an animal. He does.
I didn't call him a monster, by the way. I said he was a force of nature. There's a difference.
Well, you said monster, but I knew what you meant.
Did I say monster? Oh, I didn't mean
it's all right.
Yeah.
And I don't think he put on airs at all afterwards.
Well, I remember
genuinely somebody just tried to shoot my head. I think it changed him a little bit. Something about his approach.
I don't know. You know, it didn't last for very long. He came out after that shooting with the bandage on his ear, and his eyes were downcast, and he was like, all I expected to see was his hands clasped in prayer or something like that.
I'm not that cynical. So.
Yeah, no, and it just didn't. It was so un-Trump-like, and he didn't speak that first night.
Well, it changed him. It did,
but it didn't last very long though, because he was up the next night and he was back with the same. You know, they tried to kill me with a bullet, but they can't kill me. You know, so it didn't last very long. It lasted his contrite kind of 40 days in the desert or whatever it was. You know, this existential crisis that
I see him in a very different light than that. I really do.
It only lasted a day or two, maybe 2 days. You know, so yeah.
I see him in a different light.
Yeah, of course. But one thing I can guarantee, unless the Democrats come up with something really spectacular, he's a shoo-in. He's a shoo-in.
Right. And I got to tell you, Kamala Harris is not the spectacular thing, but they're trying to bill her as the spectacular thing.
Oh no, and that's a big mistake.
She is honestly, I can say this honestly, she's a big dummy. She's not very smart.
She's not smart, and if you notice on her speeches and stuff, she takes she's speaking to a
ridiculous,
particular
yeah.
audience. She takes off their accent. She tries to fit in with whatever crowd she's speaking to. That's not a sign of a good orator or a good
Right.
understander, or even anybody who's good in politics.
It was interesting, by the way. Susie Q, you say he has to get back on the horse, bravery. It was interesting. I read, was it Bill O'Reilly's book? He has this book of these killing books, he calls them. Killing Reagan, killing democracy, killing this person. He did a lot of biographies about things. And he wrote in Killing Reagan, he wrote about how everybody he talked to and researched that after Reagan was shot, which was his first 2 months in office, and he was in the presidency for 8 years, they said that changed him. He was still, he wasn't like Trump. He was a different personality type than Trump, but he was a very genuine man. He was very, you've heard him speak.
Well,
And-
the counter argument to that, Scotty, is a lot of people put that down to early onset dementia, which is exactly
Well,
what
he
happened
had
to him.
no, he didn't. Not the way he spoke. I'm talking about
No,
that came later on.
after the
what he
even
had was
he became much
after the
slower in
shooting-
his speech.
after
And,
the shooting, like O'Reilly wrote, he said there was something inside him that made him draw closer in. He was still outgoing in public. He was still a phenomenal speaker. He still had great. It wasn't really until after the middle of his second term where you really started to see the early onset of dementia, of Alzheimer's.
But then again, during that second term, he made some very ill-advised speeches about aliens and all sorts of weird stuff, and you would wonder who the advisors were at that stage.
I think that was a belief of his. So
but who's the other guy? Did Roosevelt took a bullet? Was it Roosevelt who took a bullet?
no,
Who was it? Who
there was McKinley.
McKinley took a
I
bullet.
believe there was JFK, obviously, but he died.
No, but there was another American president took a bullet and survived.
Wasn't Gerald Ford was shot at? I don't think he was wounded.
Jimmy Carter was shot at as well. Was Jimmy Carter shot at? Yeah.
I can't think of anybody else who actually took a bullet.
Well, I don't mean literally took a bullet, but escaped.
Was shot at.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of presidents who've been shot at.
Yeah.
Sad to say.
I know one.
Oh,
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, he didn't survive that one though.
Yeah, he didn't live through that one.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you go and take your daughters to bed.
All right.
Great to see you.
I gotta go.
All right.
See you, Niall. Thanks for being here.
No
Good conversation,
worries.
brother.
Talk soon.
All right, everybody. That's it. We got to get out of here. It's now 11:34. And so we are going to call the show tonight. No, she's still awake. She's down there. See? And so we're going to get her to bed. And that's all I got. We're done for tonight. We'll see you again here on tomorrow's Thursday. Friday, we'll be back with a whole new show. Might be similar topics. I don't even know yet. But for now, we're going to take our leave of you. You all have a good evening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the show. Live long and prosper.